Hello and welcome to ADHD, spilling the tea, like literally. I am Donna and I am owner and all the things of Unravel Tea. I drink a lot of tea.
And I'm Sarah, coffee enthusiast, later turned tea enthusiast. I'm Wheelie Mama. I'm an empowerment mentor, author, speaker, writer, and disabled mum to three incredible little humans. So Donna, in a previous episode, I talked about my thoughts around masking and how I didn't think that masking was my thing, but then as I reflected, I realised that I very much had masked in a way. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts around this topic.
Yeah, as we were talking about it, or as I was listening to your wisdom, I realized that my masking was totally different to your experience because I just essentially learned to keep my mouth shut. And, I suppose it's learned behavior. You have somebody reacting negatively or, sort of ostracizing you for your thoughts and for your way of thinking, you're going to start keeping your mouth shut because you're not accepted with the group. So that's not a very pleasant experience, especially when you're so young and you can't, or you're not even aware that your brain does work differently. And I suppose that's the difficulty of kind of growing up and not knowing that your brain works differently, but also not knowing that it's okay the way that your brain works as well. And also not having the vocabulary to even know how to express this because this is your normal. Mm-hmm. This is how you always experience the world. You have nothing to compare it to. Mm-hmm. So it can be really difficult to understand yourself, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And I guess at a really young age to even open up the conversation of like, so this is how I see things and this is how I cognitively work. Mm-hmm. How is it for you to even have the courage to say to someone, how do you see the world and how is it for you to even have that frame of reference at a young age is hard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I would say it's probably quite unusual to have, and that's a lot of self-awareness as well, to even realize that other people experience the world in a different way to you. Because if you just always have this normal, like it's even like physical pain, if you always have physical pain, which I did experience, and I actually only discovered that not everybody was in pain when I was maybe about 8 years ago. I had a lot of digestive problems. And I didn't realize that not everybody had that. And I actually thought that everybody was just sadistic for liking eating grapes.
Oh, bless you. My goodness, it's crazy. So much of what we deal with and internalize could be made so much easier if we just had more open conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many things that are taboo. Speaking about digestion, people don't talk about these things.
No.
But like speaking about the way your brain works, that's not something that people discuss. Mm-hmm. Or it's a concept that people can actually grasp more, a physical kind of pain to a mental kind of struggle, I think, because you can quantify it better, or easier, I should say, not better. Mm-hmm. And more people can relate to it as well, I think, or can relate to it easier because we have, I suppose, more developed language around it as well. There is...
yeah, maybe though as well, physical pain is like, okay, we need to fix this. Mm-hmm. But my take on like physical versus mental pain and societal attitude towards it is more like, yeah, nobody needs or wants to be in physical pain, and yes, there's medication and there's things we can do to stop the pain, but not everything that's mentally challenging or a mental challenge needs to be fixed. It just needs to be better understood. So not everything needs to be medicated, and not every difference is a fault or a flaw or something that needs to be mended. Mm-hmm. It's just more about saying like, you and I are completely different. So therefore, how we think, how we act, and how we see the world is going to be different. And being more open to exploring those differences.
That is a huge thing, actually, the communication and having open forms of communication. Yeah, but I would say even within this as well. Sorry, my brain's on a one track. I just feel that going back to the whole thing of, I still feel that maybe not now. I think that there is more kind of ways to describe how the brain works, actually, and people's different experiences, because we're now more aware of this. Whereas before, I would have struggled to even communicate that I have this need, or I would function better if this was in place for me, even if, you know, asking for space to just try and process something, giving myself a bit more time to do that, instead of beating myself up because I can't process this thing because I've got all these other things that are attacking my brain at that point. I had somebody essentially trying to tell me what the situation was, and I needed to be able to process what was going on. I wasn't saying that they were wrong, but I felt that the way they were approaching it was very much the way that people who don't understand just say the same thing over and over again and assume that you're going to suddenly absorb it, and they treat you like you're stupid, essentially. But I actually have to say, played the ADHD card, and I really do not take that decision lightly, but I think it was important in that space. So I actually stopped her very respectfully and said, look, I actually have ADHD, which means that I process things probably differently to how you do. I need space, literally just need maybe a minute to process this. And yeah, and I'm also very visual, so I actually had to write things down. But literally as soon as I wrote it down, I was like, oh yeah, no, that's the thing, you're right, yes, and it was fine. And I thanked her for giving me space, because as soon as I said that, she was very respectful, and she gave me the space that I needed. And yeah, the rest of the interaction was absolutely fine. In fact, it was probably better than fine. I think because she then was given an insight maybe into how to better help me or improve the interaction. I suppose it's the opening of the lines of communication. But it is not an easy thing to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, I need this. It really isn't.
I get that 100%, but look how much more enriched the conversation was, and the interaction was so much better. And every time you do that, or every time any of us do that, it will become better and better and better. And rather than just, I sometimes think, as somebody with a disability, every time we advocate for ourselves, we're not just advocating for ourselves, we're making it easy for everybody else. And we're also educating and informing the non-disabled person, because they don't know what they don't know. And how can they do better if they don't have all the information? So even just that level of self-awareness for her to say, well, I didn't know, and I don't know what that means for you, and I'm going to respectfully listen while you tell me, and then adjust my behavior accordingly. That's huge. And I hope you don't mind me saying, but I think the Donna that I met 2 years ago would never have done that. So it's phenomenal to see that growth and that strength for you to say, you know what, I deserve to respect myself enough to actually ask for this minute in time, which is all it was.
Yeah.
So bravo, my friend. I'm super proud.
Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't easy, and I don't think that I would have been able to do it or do it at that level. Like, I mean, even maybe like a year ago, I don't think I would have done it. I mean, in saying that, I have done it for other people, but doing it for yourself is a bit different though as well, because it takes presence of mind and there's a lot of emotions in the moment when you're being the subject of potential, this could go bad. So yeah, it's
to be able to not only self-regulate enough to go, we just need to take a step back here, but then to articulate that as well simultaneously is massive. And it's something that you deserve massive respect for, because it's a big deal. Just so you know, I have become much better at calling out what it is I need in a moment of, I call it like a pressure cooker moment, where it's like, oh, and before I would have gotten either super emotional and dysregulated or borderline aggressive to command that space, which actually causes even more harm, because then you've got to go back and do like damage limitation and you're beating yourself up for overreacting. But seeing how you conduct yourself and how you're able to articulate what it is you need, and in a way that is still respectful to you but educates and informs, you've really helped me to do that for myself. So yeah, just don't underestimate that. Every interaction where you self-advocate is actually helping so many more people, myself included. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. And I actually love the whole pressure cooker the metaphor, because that is exactly what it feels like in my brain at those points. And it felt so nice to actually release the valve.
And then the next time that lady goes into a situation where somebody doesn't seem to be responsive in the way she would want, she might hopefully take a breath and go, hang on, I don't have all the information here. Maybe there's a crucial piece of this puzzle that I need to discover before we continue. And it could make a huge difference.
I truly think that she will, actually, because she responded so well. And as I said, the rest of the interaction was actually really positive, and she was actually really lovely. So yeah, I suppose if it's made an improvement to her future interactions and made give other people a bit more space as well, even if they don't even know that they have ADHD, or insert other thing here,
Yeah. I'd love to go back to the masking topic, if you don't mind, for a minute.
We got derailed.
The whole self-advocacy thing is so important, and I think if listeners take away one thing from this, I would want it to be that. But I would love to just go back, because the masking is such a big thing. And you mentioned about, you learn to stay quiet. What would you say was the tipping point for you to go from, I'm just going to be quiet and I'm just going to absorb and internalize all of this, to actually know this needs to be said? Would you say there was one or two tipping points where you're like, actually, no, I'm not going to stay quiet anymore?
I've always had issues with when people directly attack me. I've had a lot of customer service roles, and majority of people are amazing, and I get it. You just have to be the person picking up the phone or being there. But most people acknowledge that, but I've had a few that actually attack me verbally, and that's not okay. Actually, I think like this week's might have been one of the sort of pivotal points, so to speak, because I didn't want to get to that stage again. And I know, like, you kind of end up, you said there as well, you kind of end up blaming yourself and everything like that as well. And you have this baggage that you do not need to carry with you, because you've got enough baggage already. I do not need to add anything else. My baggage allowance is way over.
Way oversubscribed.
Yeah, so I don't need to add any more of that. So I think that was like, right, I can stand up and do something better here. And actually, you're right. And potentially, improve her interactions in future with other people as well. So I think that is actually one of the pivotal points. So that's interesting. That's very recent.
I love that. Would you say having the awareness of the self-awareness of like your diagnosis and how your brain works, and I think of the spoon, like we talk about spoons and the spoon analogy of like we don't have infinite number of spoons. And when you're aware that you've only got so many spoons on any given day, your tolerance goes down.
Because you don't want to randomly give away spoons, yeah.
To something that doesn't deserve it.
This is my spoon. It's earmarked for this. You're not getting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I suppose so. No, since I've been aware of my ADHD brain, it has allowed me to explore that, and it has allowed me to actually give myself some space and not beat myself up about the things that I can't do, the things that everybody else seems to have no problem doing, but I struggle hugely with. But it also has given me the space to go, it's okay to ask for help. I mean, when we were growing up, or when it was always seen as maybe it was a societal thing, I have no idea, but it was always seen as a weakness, or it was always like, if you ask for help, this is, and that's terrible. And I'm glad that seeing now it's not such a stigma to ask for help, which is fantastic. I really am appreciating the fact that people don't seem to be growing up with that kind of mentality anymore, or societal pressure. I don't know what the words would be.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a Celtic thing or if it's a British thing, or and I say Celtic because obviously you're Scottish and Irish, but I don't know, but I totally agree. Yeah, it's interesting because obviously I have very, very small kids, and every kind of new level of independence that they get, I want to celebrate, and I want to say well done for reaching that milestone of independence, like tying your own shoelace or whatever it is. But then I'm also really, really conscious of not celebrating only the independent achievements, because I don't want to reinforce that thing of, well, you must do it yourself to be valid and be worthy. So it's like what I've tried to instill in them, and I mean I get things wrong all the time, but what I try to remind myself is to celebrate perseverance as much as success, because if to not give up you have to ask for help, then at least you didn't give up. Giving up is the only failure.
And you can sometimes get further if you ask for help, because that person can then
in much quicker time. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you decide to teach yourself editing audio.
Well, I mean, just when you said that, like about being aware of how your brain works and when you need help and stuff, I also feel really strongly that we need to celebrate and be very aware of the fact that you have flipping superpowers. Like, you can do things that no mortal human should be able to do in the time frame that you can smash them. So actually you're allowed to have a few areas where you need a bit of help, because my word, the things that you can accomplish single-handed, no man, woman or child should be able to even go near. So yeah, let's just take a moment for that.
But I need to do them now, or else if then the moment goes and I'm like, okay, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, well, there is that. There definitely is all these self-imposed deadlines, and I just think to myself, I'm never going to be able to achieve this, so I won't even try. Whereas you're like, not only am I going to do it, but I'm going to do it at breakneck speed, and I'm going to smash it. Like, we're the two polar opposites of the whole thing. It's really funny.
But that works together, though. At least we work together well that way.
It does, but it also means that I basically need you in my pocket 24/7.
No.
If I've got any chance of being a well-rounded human and succeeding at life at all, I need you in my back pocket at all times. Pretty much. We haven't said what's in our cups today.
We haven't. We haven't. I have an amazing Darjeeling, and I didn't know that Darjeeling could taste like this.
Ooh.
So.
I love it. I'm going very controversial today. I have some summer fruit squash, because I'm basically a dehydrated crisp after spending 3 days pretty much in stifling hot London. I am so dehydrated and so overstimulated. In this episode, we've talked about masking from Donna's point of view. We've talked about self-advocacy, and we've celebrated a massive moment of self-advocacy that Donna has experienced very recently. We've talked about how I, as a fledgling mama with tiny little chicks, I'm trying to replace celebrating independence with celebrating perseverance to normalize a culture of accepting and asking for help with my kids.
Thank you so much for listening to ADHD with myself, Donna, and Sarah, which is not myself. Okay, right. If you could subscribe on your favorite platform, and if you could possibly leave a review as well, that would be amazing. It would help us reach more people as well. We can be found on Instagram at ADHD the podcast, which I haven't posted on yet. Oops. And also ADHD on Threads as well, ADHD the podcast, which I have posted on. Yay! So yeah, and we will hopefully see you. You'll hear us next week. There we go. Thank you so much for listening.
So thanks for listening. Join us next time as we discuss what's on our mind and what's in our cups. And if you've enjoyed this, why not subscribe and give us some feedback on your platform of choice, and maybe even let us know what you'd like to hear us talk about in future episodes. Join us next time as we discuss what's on our mind and what's in our cup. Donna, do you wanna?
No.
No.
No, I don't want to do anymore. I'm finished. Okay, see ya.
We're done. Bye. So Donna, the last. Oh, sorry, I will get my shit together eventually, I promise.